we finally got something going on in SoD again. We got a big announcement. Actually, rather, it's an announcement of an announcement. That is not sarcasm. They finally announced the date of the Warcraft Direct, which is gonna be this version of the BlizzCon, because we are not getting BlizzCon this year. So on November 13th, they are gonna do all the major announcements for Warcraft Direct. And as I told you before, I made a video on this, they are gonna be a little light on the content for those Direct. If they had something big for Warcraft to announce, they would have probably made a BlizzCon for it. But no matter, let's actually go over Phase 6 and what's gonna happen for SoD now. I actually got a pretty good idea of what's gonna happen. First of all, they really wanna pack as many stuff as they can, so we're not gonna hear anything about Phase 6 until November 13th. That's just for hype reasons. But having that said, I would like to show you how far we are from Phase 6, when is it gonna come out, because they did data mine a new patch for Phase 6. Now this art over here, this just random Ahn'Qiraj art, they have not found in Wowhead as much as I could see. They never actually found out some Ahn'Qiraj related item in there, and I do not think they are gonna add anything to the Phase 6 PTR until the Direct goes, because they really don't want to spoil anything. But I want to show you precedents, because it is very important to get a little time frame here. When they added the new patch, Phase 4 was data mined on the 7th of August. This is the article for that data mine. From then, it took 23 days to get us into the PTR. And then it took 26 more days to get us into the actual phase launch. Now, if we compare that little timeline here, we can actually figure out a very good timeline that actually lines up with everything. The 16th of October, they data mined the new Phase 6 content. Now, we can take a very quick look at my calendar right now, and we can go over here to August, actually October. The 16th of October is right there, and if we move 23 days, well, that's basically all the way to this. And then we move to here, that's 20 days, and then we move 6 more days. 11th of November. If we follow the exact same timeline, that's where the PTR would leave us. Now, it's not gonna happen, because the 13th of November is gonna be the announcement of Warcraft Direct, and they're gonna wait until then to announce it. So what I think is gonna happen is that they are gonna announce whatever we get on the next phase, and in the same week, more or less around there, we're gonna get the PTR. And after that, from the PTR to the actual release, of course, it took them a little bit, 26 days to be exact. So if we do this super scientific movement, more or less, we go from 20 something days here to here, and that should land us on middle December, somewhere around the 12th of December, somewhere like that. WoW usually has an aversion for releasing content during the holidays, so we are looking at two options really. We either get it a little faster, early December, which is definitely a possibility. It wouldn't be insane 50 days after the announcement. That would land us somewhere around the 5th of December, something like that, after the PTR. That can happen, but the other option, and it is probably the more likely, I'm afraid. Oh right, my 2025 calendar didn't go in the mail yet. I'm still waiting for the Australian Firefighter Organization to send me the new edition. But yeah, that should be somewhere around early January, 5th of January. There is gonna be no in between. It's either gonna be very early December or early to middle January. And that's gonna leave us a lot more questions. Now, I probably could see the early December date coming, because there is not a lot of work that's being done for Phase 6. And this is something that's gonna be a lot clearer after Warcraft Direct, I bet. Everything points to the fact that Blizzard wants to end Season of Discovery and get to Classic Plus as fast as possible, because they saw the money on it. And all the content that's coming for Phase 6 is actually very easy to implement. Let's go over the content for a little bit to see what I'm talking about. Like every other phase, we are very likely to get a world boss, and that's gonna be the Nightmare Dragons. We still do not have them in SoD, and they should be coming out about this time. Now, one of the reasons that I'm very confident is not gonna be something else is because I do not see them plugging them up for Naxxramas. Naxxramas is gonna have their own event that has a bunch of world events, the Sigurats floating and stuff like that. So if I were to bet, they are gonna make a world boss that's about that. That makes a lot more sense. So yeah, we're getting the Nightmare Dragons, and their loot is probably gonna suck. That's kind of the common theme we see on all the world bosses nowadays. Another cool thing they data mined is that whatever the new instance is, it can be heroic. As you can see here, there is a bug about the dungeon being heroic in the data mine, so why would they code it as heroic if it's not heroic? I mean, it's a possibility it was unintended, but I doubt it because they've been coding Classic for a while and it's the first time it came up. So heroic dungeons are gonna be pretty interesting, and the main content, the raiding content, I am afraid we're not getting much here, guys. They rug pulled us once again, so we are gonna get Ahn'Qiraj. You're gonna have to deal with it, and that means the war effort. Now, one thing about the war effort that is very hard here is that a lot of these items for the war effort are gonna be really easy to get because the new incursion chests, and they made like 20 new ways, the reals, all the profession items and all the materials that you gotta do for the war effort are gonna be pretty much worthless and ready to turn in at the second it comes out. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do for the war effort in Ahn'Qiraj. Now, they do not have the best track record ever when it comes to making events. I think STV was a complete mess. Black Rock Mountain essentially killed the PvP meta for a while. It was way too out of whack. Ashen Vale was a lagfest anyway, which proves they cannot really do world stuff anymore. So if I were a gambling man, I would say that the war effort is gonna be lame in SoD, sadly. But the war effort existing for this tier probably means that it is likely, maybe it is possible that early December is the way to go, because it is gonna take a while. I'm sure it's not gonna be set up in a way that the war effort is gonna kick in a second and the raid is gonna be out on day one. They probably wanna stagger it, so from that logic, maybe an early December so they can get the war effort to go on for a month or something. Maybe they're gonna put a time gate on it. That's also a possibility where, yeah, you gotta meet the war effort, but then you gotta wait for the timer to run out before you can go. That's something they could do that would involve them releasing very little stuff until they feel like releasing the raid. That's something they can do. If they go for early December as a war effort launch, they are definitely gonna put a time gate on it, because the last thing they wanna see is the raid coming out on the 24th of December, okay? That would kill everything, right? They have to put a time minimum on the war effort. But yes, as you guys know, the war effort, you basically gotta turn in a bunch of materials server-wide. The entire server gotta contribute to it, and after you meet all the thresholds, and in this case, I bet after the actual date comes up, we are gonna get AQ40 and AQ20, which AQ20 is gonna be the 10-man raid and AQ40 is gonna be the 20-man raid, so it's gonna be AQ20 and AQ10. It's gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna be a nightmare to actually refer to every raid properly. Like, you say AQ20 and you wanna go to AQ20, guys, and you are not gonna know if they mean the small one or the big one now, because the big one is gonna be 20 men. I don't know. Part of me wishes they would do 40 men AQ just so we can figure it out a little easier on the naming. Maybe they put a new name on it. Maybe they come up with a new way to name it. The community is very creative sometimes when it comes to that. Another reason that I think they wanna put a time minimum on the war effort is because they wanna see more people getting Scarab Lord. Who knows? That PvP event that Agren makes every single goddamn phase, where he just takes a random zone and he turns it into a carnage every 3 hours. What if they put it in Silitos and that's all somehow involved in the reputation you need for Scarab Lord? I wouldn't put it past them, because they know if the Scarab Lord and the war effort is a thing, it's gonna be a carnage no matter what. So this is one of the first times where I could see a PvP event Agren style for this phase making a whole lot of sense. Make us fight for those Scarab shells, man. So yes, prepare your bingos, okay? Medina predilection prediction after Warcraft Direct. We are getting the phase 6 PTR about December 15th, December 17th, about a week after Warcraft Direct, which is in November 13th. We're gonna keep to date on that. The AQ war effort, because they are gonna try to milk it somehow, they should, is very likely to come out early December. That is my bet. If it doesn't, it's gonna come out with the raid somewhere early in January, which is not gonna be any fun. But otherwise, the timeline I'm gonna go for, okay, this is gonna be the one I put my hand in the iron for. Please don't get mad at me if I don't get it. I don't see the future. It's gonna be early December war effort and early January actual raid release. That's the timeline I'm gonna stick for. Are you excited about Ahn'Qiraj? I like AQ20. AQ20 was fun. AQ40 though, I do not look forward to whatever Khotun is gonna be at all. And please, for the love of God, put portals in Ahn'Qiraj, because if I gotta run back every time I die in Ahn'Qiraj and I gotta deal with those trash respawns, I do not think I'm playing. I do not think I'm freaking playing. I'm gonna have to find something else to do. I'm done. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.